Hello, John. How are you today?
Meow. I'm a cat.
Welcome to Battle Rankings.
Welcome to Battle Rankings. And today, we have a master on the show today. And we're working on getting a few more masters on the show. But welcome to Battle Rankings. I hope you're having a good day, a good afternoon, a good evening, whenever you're watching this. Today we are going to have John. I have a combat combined arms Hungarian list to 111 points that John is going to blind react to. What are your feelings of this?
I don't know. Let's see the list first before I can react to it.
This is true. But what are your predictions?
Depends on who made it.
Well, I made it.
So there's going to be a lot of infantry.
Okay. What else?
I don't know. That's my guess.
All right. We'll see. So here's my list.
See, you have 3 formations with the bare minimum. All right. So what's your plan for this list?
My plan?
Mm-hmm.
So
do you want to attack, defend, maneuver?
I'm just trying to keep it a very rounded list where I might have a little bit of fun with it, but it can still hold its ground.
Okay. Well, major problem you have to begin with is your command card for the Hussar battery is its own title card, which is the same. You can only have one title card, so you can either have your volunteer rifle company, which is a title card, or you can have your 75 Hussar battery. So one of those has to go.
So why do they let you pick both?
Because it's forces isn't end all be all. Like just because you can do it on forces doesn't mean you can do it. If that makes sense. So you can't stop everything. If that makes sense to you.
Okay.
But I would recommend getting rid of the rifle company to begin with, because you already have a lot of infantry. So I'd recommend getting rid of the rifle platoon, and I'd also get rid of the Hussar battery, because you're paying points for less AT and a worse firepower.
Well, why don't you pull up the Hussar battery?
So you're paying more points to make your guns veteran, which is good, considering that you're normally a 4+. But you're going from an anti-tank of 3 with a 2-up firepower to a anti-tank of 2 with a 4-up firepower. And your direct fire also goes down, which your direct fire wasn't good to begin with. But it also looks like, okay, you still get your smoke bombardment and smoke, but you're basically a mortar, and you're paying a whole bunch of points for a mortar battery.
Okay.
So you're not really helping yourself. But you do become veteran, which is nice, but at the same time, you might as well just buy a mortar battery for that skill, or for the stats on that. So I'd get rid of that, because that'd save you a couple points.
Okay.
And then I'd also get rid of the rifle company.
Yes. Okay.
So let's go to your other forces. So one thing I did notice too is that for your rifle platoons, you added the machine gun, which is okay, but this is late war, and you're not going to face that many infantry, so I get rid of the machine gun, and I would give your guys Panzerfausts, instead of just having the one Panzerschreck.
Okay.
Because the Panzerfaust, all 10 of your teams that you're paying for, they all get Panzerfausts. Versus the Panzerschreck is in one stand that can be targeted. And once that's gone, you have no anti-tank. So the Panzerfaust or the Panzerschreck's good, but I'd also give the unit a Panzerfaust.
Okay.
All right. So since we got rid of your artillery, I would go in here and then add some mortars.
Okay.
That way you're still paying some points for the mortars, but at least it's not the price you were paying for the 100 milli battery. So this I would actually get rid of.
Okay.
And the reason I would get rid of that is because you're paying 11 points for a battery that can be artilleried, and you have a pretty bad save, which is a 4+.
I mean, they're Hungarians. You can't expect a good save.
Well, any towed artillery like this is going to have a bad gun save, and they can be pinned, and they have a okay skill, but most of the stuff you're going to be targeting is going to be in terrain, so you're going to be looking for a 5. So this is not a good platform, and plus you're overpaying for what you get.
Okay.
So I'd get rid of that. And let's see. Looks like you don't have any. Oh, so a good platoon to get would be this Zereni assault gun platoon. And so it's 5 more points, but you're fearless and your skill goes up by 3. And your firepower is a little bit worse, but you also have an anti-tank gun and you can move. You have armor and machine guns. And
Isn't there a command card also for the Zerenis?
Yes, but it lets you make one have a better anti-tank, but then you're only having a 2-gun battery.
Oh,
so
okay.
It's good to put on an HQ if you take the Zereni assault gun formation.
But it's not really, if you're just taking like a support option, it's not really.
So to do that, let's say, so you have the stud company, which is pretty small. So what I would recommend is we change that out for the Zereni assault guns. Because what you can do is get that Zereni HQ. Get your platoon of Zerenis for your artillery. You lose the smoke bombardment, but this has a lot more capabilities.
Okay.
And then you can still get your Stug assault guns that you had. So when we go to our command cards, you can get there we go. For 1 point, you can put it on your HQ. So for the same cost that you were paying for your Stug HQ, you now get the Zereni HQ, and you still have the same capabilities.
Okay.
You just can't fire bombardment now, which is fine.
I mean, their assault guns, you can only fire bombardments or like repeat bombardments if you're stationary. So
when you look at you're saving a point basically because you get an artillery template inside your gun, and you still get the 1 Stug platoon.
Okay.
And then I would add either so you have the ability with the command card to add an infantry platoon in here, or take another platoon, and I would just take the Hetzers because they're cheap and they're veterans.
So I was looking at doing Hetzers or Stugs originally, just messing around with points. And either way, if you're just building a standard list, you have to pick one or the other realistically. Just like you took out the Stugs and replaced them with the Zerenis. What are the trade-offs for each one?
So pull up the so the Stugs, you still have your front armor 7. The main thing is the gun's is the same, except that it's not overworked.
Okay.
So he can move without any penalties. Whereas if you move and he has a better cross check versus the let's see where it's at. Hetzers. You have a worse cross check and you're overworked. So if you move, you get a +1 to hit when you're shooting.
Oh, okay.
But you still have the same skill, which is a 3, so you can blitz these guys pretty good. And you're getting an extra tank. So if you guys just keep these guys in the rear and just blitz up on a hill or something like that, then you get an extra shots and your front armor is still the same. So I would take 4 Hetzers over 3 Stugs.
Okay, and just not necessarily plan on moving them as much.
Yep.
Okay.
So the plane is good for taking out like somebody else's armored artillery, or the British when they use their double M10 anti-tank guns. It's not reliable coming in, but it is a good for taking out those back units that are small and easy to kill. So I see you took a scout platoon. I would honestly get rid of this because it's an infantry and you want them to hold objectives. And when they counterattack on 6s and assault on 5s, it's only good for a spearhead. And at that point, you might as well just take something else that's a lot cheaper for spearhead.
Okay.
Versus that, because they're not going to be good at holding objectives or anything that, or taking objectives, just because of that counterattack and assault.
Yeah.
So I would take the Hussar troop, because they don't have the penalties for being scouts, but they still get the spearhead. And they're veterans, which is pretty good. So that's something you can get for 11 points. Or you can take the armored cars, which are pretty cheap, but you get the spearhead also. So I would take either.
I mean, I'd go for the Hussars, just since having veteran skill check over trained is a huge benefit when a lot of these.
You still get that spearhead, and you still get a really good cross country dash to use for that spearhead.
Well, when it's hard to find veteran units in a Hungarian force, you can have to feel you take what you get.
They get a better spearhead versus the armored cars. So I would take those. So that's what I would do. And then you got 1 point left over. And you already got a lucky card. So you can make one of your infantry platoons a pioneer.
Okay.
So they can cross minefields and dig in a lot better.
Okay.
That's what I would take with my last point. So you still get your tanks that you wanted, except now that ones are in your formation and can do artillery. And you still get more AT-11 shots and a bigger formation than you originally had.
Okay.
You still have your rifle company with better anti-tank. You still get your smoke bombardment with these mortars. So now you have 2 templates versus the 1. And you still get a smoke. You get your spearhead, that unit that you wanted, that can actually move and doesn't suffer from being a scout. You got your planes and 1 good rifle platoon that can dig in or cross minefield as needed. That's what I would do with your list that you originally came up with.
Okay, that makes sense. Like I said, when I originally built the list, I was going for just a general combined arms kind of. They can take it, but they can also kind of give it back. Mm-hmm. That's the idea with having some form of either with like the Stugs or the Hetzers, and now officially the Zurinis. Something armored and mobile and not necessarily a tank, but still can do some damage if there are light tanks on the field. Mm-hmm. Obviously, I won't be able to take down the toughest thing on the board, but if played correctly, it can cause. It can be a challenge. It can be a good road bump. And then I like infantry so that they can at least hold objectives. Even if I don't do a lot of moving and attacking with them, I can hold objectives fairly well and
This would
take
be
out.
a good defend or maneuver.
Mm-hmm.
The only problem it's going to suffer for is high AT and taking out anything with good armor, like the American Third Armor, anything, because they have front armor 7 with those Shermans, and at range they go to an 8. So you're going to have a hard time taking out that kind of stuff. But you have enough shots in there compared to your original list that you might be able to take out a platoon if you concentrate your shots.
And if I'm lucky, I might be able to get a few. I might be able to get a Stuka on the board, and if I'm lucky, knock out a Sherman with the Stuka. Now, the Shermans do have self-defense AA, so obviously that's a concern if I only have 2 of those. But
the nice thing about planes, even if one shot down, you still get the same benefit as if both were there.
That
for
and
template.
Yeah, that and at least I can. If I'm not shot down, I might be able to get up back on the board and have another chance. And they're 8 points for the 2 planes. It's a fair buy. It's good to fill in with some of these higher point value units. What would you suggest for reserves? I was thinking 1 or 2 of the will be 60%, so about 40-ish points, right?
So at 111, you need 45 points, I believe. Let me pull up my handy dandy calculator here. Yep, 45 points. So you want to put one of your stugs in there, so that's 17 points. Plus your plane, let's just say. So you got 25.
Yeah.
I put your hetzers in, so now you're at 41, so now you need 4 points. So you can either I would put then your HQ in reserve.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. One of the Zrini HQ.
And that way you still get your Zrini assault guns, so you get your template you need.
I have my template on the plate on the board, and then
you got your entire rifle company and your scout trooper or scout troops all on the board.
And that's a good start to a game. And as long as reserves come on quick, bring in the HQ and the stugs and the hetzers and finish out with planes.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any other thoughts on this list?
I'd probably, for what I would do, I'd probably get rid of the assault gun company altogether and take an allied for unit like Tiger 2s for the high AT, and it's a good point sink for reserves.
Okay. Replace the Zerinis with like Tiger 2s or
get like
an allied
unit of Tiger 2 SS Tiger 2s, because that's 31 points that you can just throw in reserve, and it has high AT to deal with that stuff, and it's basically unkillable. And then with your extra points, take like a Panther platoon, because the Hungarians have their own Panthers. And then that way all your points are taken care of for reserve or an ambush.
I thought you could only take one allied support formation.
Hungarians can bring their own Panthers.
That you said that. You said that. My bad.
See?
Yeah. I even looked at that.
Yeah, 19 points. Well, I don't know if I'd just take 2, but you could take the Panthers, or let's see if they have anything else that's good. Not really. Tigers are probably too expensive. Yeah. So one thing you could do, yeah, you get rid of this. Clear formation. Get rid of the plane. Get rid of the card for the Zrani. Get rid of the Pioneer platoon. Then for one of your allied units, take a Brigade Panther. So you get 3 Panthers for 20 points.
Okay.
And then an allied formation. Let's see if I can find it.
Up.
I got it.
Oh, I thought we're going to do the Panzer twos.
So I do this because you only need 1 infantry platoon. I don't know how the points would work out for this.
We'll see.
And Tiger 2, let's see. 4 points over. So what you could do instead, get rid of this Hussar troop. Take your armored cars. Come here, your rifles. Lower them down to 7-man units. Come back to your SS. And you can get yourself some good mortars.
Okay.
And some assault gun cars. Still put you at 1 point over, but then you can get rid of your lucky card.
I mean, I'll probably forget about it anyways, right?
Yep. So there, that's what I would go with. So you got your rifle company. You still get your scout, but now your ambush is a Brigade Panther. You still get 2 artillery templates, but one's a skill 3 versus a skill 4. You get 2 smokes. You also get some assault armored car assault guns with 89. You get 6 of them, so that's pretty good. And then your reserve would be a Tiger 2 with an Ardennes Panzer platoon. And they have double Fausts, so they'd be good. And then you get an extra commander on the field with a Faust. So that bring your reserves down from 4 units to 2 units.
And this one this list I feel like you could be a little bit more aggressive with.
Yep. Because now you got 2 smokes, you got 2 templates, and you got your high AT already on the field while you're waiting for an even more high AT, and you got a lot more movable shots, more templates, and your guys who are just sitting back on the objective are not a whole bunch of point sinks that they originally were. You are losing the good Azar troops, but you still get your scouts. So
they're good for if I pull up a spearhead.
They're good for blocking a spearhead or countering somebody else's spearhead.
Yeah.
But that's what I would go with for 111 points for your Hungarian.
I like it. So why did you go? Why the 111 points over?
Because that is the current season's late war points.
All right. I know I've already asked this, but any final thoughts?
Nope.
All right. Thank you for watching the Battle Rankings podcast. Check us out on Spotify or right here on YouTube. You can find us on Facebook. Check out the Linktree link. Hit all the fun buttons. And we'll see you next week.